most confusing, delusional primary directions going on in his chart. Primary directions are probably some of the oldest type of astrology, and that clearly goes back, I think, at least a couple thousand or more years. And that is when a person is born, the print of the chart advances 1 degree per year. So you can really glean a lot of information about that, and I've always found those to be exact. And he had an extremely confusing thing, but nobody could get to him. You see, I wish I could have told him that. I would have said, my God, this will pass. Right now, you're in the twilight zone. And that's kind of what that was like. They take President Trump, love him or hate him. And believe me, if I say anything positive about Trump, I'll get hate mail.
Well, if you say anything negative, you'll get audited.
Oh, my God. You're right. Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, I can tell you, I've never seen the country as polarized, and I'm not for or against anyone. I really like to stay back and objective, and I have seen the reactions of people just so polarized right now. And the astrology actually indicates that in a world sense. And we're seeing it, and it's probably going to escalate over the next couple of years. The thing with Trump was he had a primary direction of the sun conjuncting his ascendant. That is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Never happened. It never happened before, and it'll never happen again. And, of course, anyone who achieves the presidency, no matter who you are, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Uh-huh. And that's why I knew he'd win. And, a lot of people said, oh, he's pro-Trump. Well, I'm not pro or against Trump. I'm just reading the astrology. And he clearly had, of all the cast of characters, the strongest chart to win. And he did.
Now, do you know anything that's going to, proceed, in the future with Trump being in office? I mean, anything you can, elaborate about?
What are you asking? You mean about Trump?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's in a really tough time right now, and you don't need astrology to tell you that. But Trump has, he's in a really dangerous period right now. Not only is he under investigation and attack, but I think the biggest thing that I see with Donald Trump right now is he literally could be in danger. Speaking of that, what I talked about earlier, he has a primary directed Uranus. Squaring Mars. No, it's conjuncting Mars. That's one of the most powerful aspects. And that is outright dangerous. The one I had was a square. The conjunction is really powerful. Conjunction, for anybody listening, is 0 degrees. That's when a planet, by progression or transit, is at the same minute and degree of a planet in your birth chart. And what's fascinating is this is very strong until this summer, and this could be anything from a slip and a fall, secret attack, assassination attempt, or something out of the blue that just really comes at him. And it clearly is there. He's also got, for the first time in 28 and a half years, and it just started here just recently, is the secondary progressed moon has entered his 12th house. So plain English in all of this is not
what's
an
that mean?
Time for him. Not at all.
Well,
and
maybe not for the country?
Well, the United States is interesting because I'm with George Carlin. I don't think the politicians really run this country. Yes, they vote the laws and do that. But let's face it, we've had the blessing in this country to live the lives we live because the owners keep printing money. And they have the ability to keep printing money.
Yeah.
It's like George said, forget the politicians, you have owners, right? It's
Yeah.
a real big club, and we ain't in it.
Well, I feel like I got a leash around my neck, actually.
Well, I mean, it's a great country. It's still the best place to live, and it really is. When you look around at what other people, and I have clients all over the world, and I hear what happens. I hear, like everyone's complaining about Trump putting on or threatening to put on the steel tariffs. I was just talking to a client the other day in Europe, and he says, we have a 72% tax on metals coming out of, not all, but most metals, coming out of China. I'm like, really? He says, yeah. He says, my God, he said, the European Union smacked that on a long time ago. I didn't know that. So I'm not defending or saying anything's great. What I am saying is that I do believe the United States has actually just come out of a period that's been really rough. There was a man named Ebenezer Sibley. He was a Masonic, quote-unquote, mystic who was apparently involved and or present. No one really knows. I certainly don't. There's all kinds of rumors and theories I've heard at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So he is credited at having the birth chart of this nation, which was believed by some astrologers to be July 4th, 1776 at 5:10 p.m. in Philadelphia. So I've used this chart for years looking at various events with the country, and it's been pretty accurate. We, in Vedic astrology, meaning we, the country, the United States as a country, has just moved into an 18-year period, which is actually quite good. And it's been in a pretty rough period for the last 7 or 8 years. And fascinating enough about this that we have, if you look at since 9/11, we have been in just perpetual war. It's actually been, when you look at dollars and cents and length of engagement, it's been longer than any other war. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Iraq, and some of the stuff that's been going on over there with ISIS. And now we have Iran and Syria boiling over there. And I'm always a positive thinker, and I don't like to promote doom and gloom. And many people have had me on radio shows in the past saying, what do you think of 2012? And I said, not much. Everyone has been pounding their fist on 2012 that was the end of the Mayan calendar, and everyone was buying $1 million holes in the ground and predicting the end of the world. And I said, I can't see it. I can't see anything like that. What I do see is some serious trouble that could be really polarizing in this world at large. When I say world at large, I mean we are, and I've been saying this for a long time, the whole financial system, anyone who is remotely familiar with what's going on with the bond markets and the banks and the whole Western financial system knows that, they're printing bonds out the front door and buying them in the back, and the whole thing is a floating crap game. It's literally printing money.
Yeah.
And
that's numbers.
We've been blessed. Yeah, big numbers. Trillions of dollars get shoved around. When you look at banks like Bank of Scotland, Deutsche Bank, and Lloyd's of London, the Federal Reserve isn't any more federal than Federal Express. And but yet it operates in and through the U.S. government and its protection. And I have to say, as many people complain about it, I also, on the flip side of the coin, go, well, we also live lives that are extremely luxurious from the benefits of this system. And it has, helped a lot of people in medical and welfare that really do need it. So I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that whatever way you slice this pie, the system itself has brought a lot of good to a lot of people. And, there's many out there saying, well, they just can't keep printing money. Well, who's going to stop them?
Well,
I don't know anybody that can. They got the most powerful military in the world. And part of the reason I think Trump may be in there right now is the quote-unquote owners want him to build up the military. And let me tell you, that they're going to do that, and they're already doing that. And they have the capability to turn on the faucet and put the dollars there and make it happen. And I have a few clients in Black Ops, and I can't mention like who and where, but I will say this, that I have heard many a story about their respect for the U.S. military's capabilities. They said, "You've never seen anything in your life like it." I had one guy who was actually a black ops in a foreign country tell me, and he's been a commander for many years. I mean, I think 25, 30 years. He's a career officer and high ranking too. And he said when he witnessed the infrastructure that was placed both in Afghanistan and in Iraq in the early 2000s when that last 9/11 thing happened, he says, I've never seen anything like it. He said the ability to mobilize. People don't realize they were fueling up jets in Arkansas and flying over and dropping bombs in Iraq and turning around, coming back and fueling up. Now, no matter what they tell people, that takes some real speed to be able to do that at that great of a distance.
Oh yeah.
And so what we are told and what's really there and the capabilities are formidable. And I think that's one of the reasons there hasn't been a major outbreak of war. Look at North Korea right now is now saying that they won't use nuclear weapons, and they're starting to act like they're coming to the negotiating table.
Yeah, but how many times though in the last 20 years have they said that? I mean, we've heard that same story. You starve them long enough, then they say they'll. And
I think that's what's happened.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think too that he may be aware that Trump will do something, and he actually will, and that is probably the deterrent there too. I mean, it's like two kids on the playground. If you can be a bully and get away with it, you get satisfaction from it if you're a bully, which I don't see how anybody could get satisfaction from that. But if the bully knows that the bully's really going to get his butt kicked, he probably won't do it. He'll back off. You see? And that's the same analogy.
Now, I got to ask you a question. Now, the supreme leader of North Korea, and I got to warn you, the supreme leader of North Korea. I don't want to mention his name because you know what? We've been on doing the show now for going on 7 months. Never had a listener in North Korea. And my son, who's my engineer and producer, one day was reading an article about him, and he kind of twisted it a little bit. The next morning, we were looking at our printout of, what countries and how many people were listening, and all of a sudden, we had a listener for the whole show in North Korea. Then a week goes by, he mentioned something again about North Korea, about a particular person, and boom, we were listened to again that same night of the show. So, and what gets me a little nervous, and I'll cut it real fast. Before that, I had a ex-DOD official on the show, and he told me that not just the United States, but all these other, countries, there's keywords you can say on the internet, type email, and they know about it virtually instantly, and it's recorded.
Oh yeah, I mean that movie Enemy of the State is probably pretty watered down compared to the capabilities right now. I mean, when you look at everyone's computers that they use on their desktops, their Macs, their PCs, that's all serial processing. When you look at what governments have and people who really, they've got parallel mainframes now that are just mind-boggling. The U.S. military right now is actually pursuing, they've hit the wall with carbon-based, silicon-based microprocessors. They're actually pursuing carbon-based, meaning like living tissue type microprocessors.
Oh, yeah.
Carbon-based, DNA microprocessors. They've been on that for a while, and God only knows where they're at. You have to remember, when you have unlimited resources in certain areas, and it's been well known, there's black ops that they don't have to go to Congress to get a budget. They're somehow mysteriously getting funded from some way.
Oh, the money's printed and given to them. That's it.
Exactly. And these, who was it? Eisenhower had mentioned he had given a warning right before Kennedy came in. And he had talked about warning about the military-industrial complex, which was a probably very